Hello, welcome to my workbench. This is the workbench where I am going to work on getting the X-rail mounted on the titanium tube. This is the Toro titanium tube, the proper size version, which is 525 millimeters for the 300 millimeter rat rig. Not to be confused with the one that I got shipped, the one I bought earlier from Funsor. That is for a 500 millimeter rat rig. I don't know why they sent me the 500 version when I ordered the 300 version. I don't know if you saw the Discord images and memes, but yeah, the Funsor one is horribly bent. I don't know if it's a grade of titanium or anything, but like just from a holding it perspective, it feels wrong. It does not feel like really good titanium tube. And maybe that's just a problem with how much they've machined it down here to allow you to get the nuts in. I don't know, but it was, either way, this was cheap. I'm glad it was cheap because, dear God, it is terrible. And yes, I can actually bend this tube by hand with a little bit of force. It is kind of entertaining. The Toro tube, I'm pretty certain I could beat a guy with this thing and it wouldn't bend. Even with the machining that was done on it, on this Toro tube. So this particular Toro tube, interesting story. This is actually by Veylon. I bought this through Veylon. He's over in UK, EU somewhere. I don't remember exactly where, apologies. But he specializes, he's got a machine shop. He specializes in adding the, I guess, compression pressure fit nuts. He's got his own specialty nuts here that he adds to the Toro tube. So he drills a little hole in the bottom to get his machine through those holes, and it gets press fit into the titanium itself. So you don't have to try to fit your nuts down this long, narrow tube. That is something that, that is definitely something that has scared me a little bit when I was looking at titanium tubes, is figuring out how to get my nuts shoved down there. Got fat, stubby fingers, and I don't trust 3D printed stuff inside of a tube trying to get nuts in there. So yeah, I was not looking forward to that. And then, I found out Veylon had this tube and he shoves his own nuts in there. So his nuts are fantastic. I was definitely happy to buy his nuts. So I bought this from him, paid for also shims, because again, titanium tubes are not perfectly flat. This one, it's a little hard to see and balance the phone at the same time, but it's a little bit off, obviously. I have the nuts down, and the nuts also kind of adjust the thing and adjust it a little bit, but basically, there in the center here, I think somewhere around these two areas are a little bit high. Or maybe it's this one and this one. I don't know. Somewhere around here, two of these are just a tad bit high and the rest are a little bit low. What that means is that it bows up in the center in two spots and then back down. So I will need to shim, when I go to install this, I will need to put a shim here and here so it sits lower a little bit to account for the highest point, the highest nut, whatever the highest one is, or the highest two if they are very even or close enough to even. That way it doesn't move the rail too far up and shift all the belt paths and everything too far up. Now, he sent me the measurements for all of these, the measurements of all of these. So I have a vague idea. I'm really only going to need 0.25 or 0.025 and 0.05 shims, like one of each on some of these nuts. So it's really not that bad, but that's what this aluminum extrusion here is for. So I'm going to be laying it on its side here and using the measurements he sent me in a feeler gauge set to get a much better plan of which shim goes where. So that's kind of what I'm going to end up doing next over this week, is just slowly take my time of like prop these up, the ends up with the 0.5 or a combination of 0.5, 0.25, and then slowly use the feeler gauges here to figure out which size shims I need for the rest of this to get everything nice and even across the board for IDEX. Given that the difference is 0.05, the largest difference is 0.05 for a shim that I would possibly need, I suspect that I might be able to just flush mount these here and here against the Funsor joiners and not have to worry about lowering the tube, because that's like that's 5% of a millimeter. That is pretty small. I would like to be more accurate, obviously, but I don't know if it's necessarily worth it so much as just getting the x-axis straight. So yeah, so that's what I'll be doing this week, this upgrade. Veylon was awesome to work with, super nice guy. Great job on the titanium tube. Very minimal, very minimal impact from adding in the titanium nuts, adding in the press fit nuts. I don't know. He like put his nuts all over this tube, and he did a fantastic job of it. So like, yeah, his nuts are fantastic. Like, I'm looking forward to screwing in his nuts. Bolting into his nuts. Yeah. I don't know how many more nuts jokes I can crack here without laughing too hard. But yeah, I'm looking forward to this upgrade. So my hat's off to Toro for a very, very, I can't stress again, this titanium feels good. Like it, maybe it's the quality of the titanium that Toro used versus Funsor, but this feels like I can beat someone with it. And it won't be a problem. The Funsor one, yeah, that will get bent in half if I go to beat someone with it. So very happy with the tube, very happy with Veylon. He got this to me insanely fast, like, holy crap, that arrived very, very quick. He did a great job explaining, what I needed to do for shimming, and he did a great job explaining what things to look out for. These are press fit nuts, so they are quote unquote fragile. So you don't want to take a jackhammer to them, but the normal 1 Newton meter force tolerance is not going to be a problem putting, that for bolting into these things. So, yeah, that's going to be the next, I'm going to just kind of attach it to this video, the end of this video. Maybe I'll make a second video and upload this one. I don't know. But yeah, that's the next upgrade I'll be dealing with. Yay. Bye-bye.